Hello and welcome to another edition of Multimedia Basic Tutorials. In today's tutorial, what we're going to be looking at is how do we go about using flaming text, and also how do we go about using templates for our yearbook. Templates are really important. They're style guides that we're going to be using to make sure that we are consistent throughout the yearbook process, and that they have titles that are going to be matching up. For example, if we're doing sports pages, perhaps we want to have all of our sports page have the same type of stat box, have the same type of title. So we want to make sure that we have portions of the yearbook that are going to be consistent. So it's going to be important that we follow these style guides. And we're going to show you how to do that, plus how to use flaming text to do some of these things. So when you go onto the multimedia page, there is going to be a yearbook style guides link that you're going to click on. And once you click on this section, there is going to be a template that we'll have for you. This template is going to vary from year to year depending on what we decide to do as a group and as a class. So again, this is the template we used last year, so this coming year might be a different template. But again, all of your style guides are going to be located in this location. Once you find one, you'll click on it, and it will download the style guide for you. And you can actually then open that style guide up, and it's going to look something similar to this. Now, today what we're really going to focus on is the flaming text. How do we go about doing titles? But again, what this style guide lets us do is it basically lets us look at, for if we're doing sports pages, this is what's going to be consistent on the sports page. This would be the title that we'd be using. It tells you how to go about making the title. How do you make this exact same font with the logo, the font size, the color, the outline, outline 2, background. It's very step-by-step oriented how you're going to make this title. And then when we go to other things in the yearbook, especially our sports pages or different pages that have a consistent look to them, there's certain things that we want to have consistent. So it might be the team names, what font we're using this year in the template, and how it will look. So again, we'll usually have an image that will go with it, so we can see what are the team names going to look like, what is the font going to look like. If there's stat boxes, we want to make sure they all look consistent. And this is how we go about making that stat box. And then also if we're putting players in here, we can see that we want to put captions with the name. We want to do those a certain way. And again, we're going to address all of these issues later on how we go about doing this a faster and easier way in the yearbook editor. But as of today, what we're going to be looking at and focusing on is how do we go about using flaming text to create a title. So in order to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go back to our home page, which is the multimedia links. And when we click on this, there's going to be a link that brings us right to the website that we're trying to get to, which is flaming text. So you're going to click on that, and this is going to bring us to our flaming text. On this page, basically what you can do is you can pick out your different fonts and you can edit those fonts. And there's a variety of things that you can do. So again, I encourage everyone to just kind of play around with this. Try it on your own. Try to see how these different fonts look, and try to find a theme for your page to make a certain font look the way that you want it to look. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can actually see both of them side by side. This is a good way to start it too, is putting them side by side, so then you can actually read what it is we're trying to do and then how we go about doing it here. So we're going to start here with our first thing. The logo is going to be Fluffy, so we're going to find Fluffy, and you're going to then click on Edit the Logo. And for this example, we're going to be writing Varsity Volleyball. And you're going to see it's going to edit it for us, and it's going to be Varsity Volleyball. Again, this doesn't look anything like this, but we're going to try to get to that point. The next thing is we got to change our font to Ragna Bold. So out of all these, you're in the logo of Fluffy, but you can actually change the fonts down here. And you can, if we have a style guide, you can quickly just type it in, and we can type in Rag. And again, it might not show up right away, but we might have to do some more. Ragna, there we go, Ragna Bold. Okay, you're going to click on that, and it's going to change it to the look that we're looking. Again, we have to still change some things. We have our outlines that are different. Our color is going to be different, but we're going to get to this specific font. So then our next thing is we want to look at our font size. Really, this is really important because if you download this font as is at 100, it's only going to get so large on our yearbook page. And we want to be able to expand it as big as we can make it because you don't want to have a limiting factor like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to make this as big as it can go. And again, it might be 192 where it looks like as high as we can go. But we can actually type it in here as well. And it will go to the exact dimensions that we wanted. If you go further, it goes into premium, and we can't do that because then you got to buy it and purchase it, and we're just not going to purchase anything because we might as well take the stuff that we can for free. So now that we have our font, the size that we want, the next thing is our color. One thing in multimedia, when we use our red is always the same red. It's going to be AF1112, and that's going to be the red that we use throughout the book. So if we take a look here, you'll go to the next thing, which is our logo. And this is where you can edit the colors. And we're going to do our first color, and our color is going to be red. So what you can do is you can click on this, and down here you can actually change it to red and then try to find out what red you want. Okay, and we're going to find out that, again, our red, you could be kind of playing around with that, but we want to make sure it's consistent. Because someone might have it here and someone might have it here. They're very similar, but it's not consistent. So we're going to actually just put the number in, AF1112. And this we'll press OK. And that will give us our BA red that we're looking for. And so it's always consistent. And if you take a look here, we have an outline. This is our outline 1 right here. And that's going to be black. Whenever we do black or white, you just go to the corners. So it's 0, 0, 0. If you wanted to do a white, you're going to go up to this corner, and it's going to be FFFF. So again, we're doing black, so we're going to click on this as our outline number 1, and it tells you our size. Our size is going to be 6, so we're going to change that to 6, or I guess you could do this as well. And then our outline number 2, which is this one, which is also going to be 6, that's going to be white. And again, it's already set at the white, so we can press OK on that. So we've done this now. Okay, so far, this is looking very similar to what we have here. We can notice that there's some things that are different. And again, we'll try to be as clear as possible on this. But if you take a look at this one, all of these letters are in capital. This one, we don't have capital. So again, this one would not be matching and it would not be consistent. So you want to make sure you are doing it the proper way. So we're going to rechange this because we caught that mistake. And it's really important to make sure that you are looking at your fonts and their fonts that it is the same, so it's all consistent, or else we have to go back and redo it. So varsity volleyball. Okay, so now when we type that in, now this is looking consistent. All right, so everyone will be on the same playing field. And then our last thing is we have to go to the background, because right now if we put this onto our yearbook page and it was, say, a black page, it's going to actually show a big white background, a big white square around it. And we don't want to have that because that's going to take away from our cleanliness and our clean design. So we want to make sure we make our background transparent. So you're going to click on transparent. And when you click on that, it's going to put it like this. And that means that you can actually put fonts and pictures right up here. And it's going to be all this is going to be not visible when you put that onto your yearbook page. So now that you have that completed, what you're going to do next is you're going to press next, and that is going to get us to a screen that looks like this. Just ignore this. It should bring you to continue my logo. So it's either going to pop up like this. If this page pops up, just go continue to my logo, and it'll go to a page that looks like this. Once this page is up and ready, you can go to download. So you will then download your font size that you created. And again, if we look in our downloads, your font that you created is going to be right here. And so what you can do is you can actually take this out and you can throw that on here. And if you made a mistake, you can always go back to edit your logo. And so what I'm going to do, I have my good clean font that I put on, and I'm going to also show you kind of some of the mistakes that people tend to make, and then I'll show you on the yearbook page why we want to make sure we make these things clear. So let's say on this one, I have it smaller, and let's say I put it to here. Now we'll put it, I think it was around like 97 to begin with. Let's say we have it here, and let's say we had a background and we said we had a color. So you can actually see what that's going to look like. And I'm going to go next, and again, continue, and I'm going to download this as well. All right, so now that I have that, and again, I'm going to go back to my downloads, and here it is. I'm going to put that on my desktop as well. Let's clean this up a little. And we're going to go back here, and we're going to go into the Justin's yearbook. Again, here's your username, password to get in. So once you get in here, let me make this a larger scale now. Again, you're going to find your page that you're going to be going on. So if I go to create and I go to page ladder, I'm just going to say volleyball's towards the beginning of the year. Let's say it's on page 23. So again, it will tell you volleyball is on this page. It will tell you who's assigned to it. And again, this will be all done prior. This is just a new yearbook, so we don't have all that stuff in here yet. But it will tell you the section. It'll tell you who the staff is that is going to be responsible for it. So once we click on this page, it will bring you then to our yearbook page. And what we want to do is we want to now upload the image. So you'll go to images, and trap shooting was the last thing we were looking at. So, but if we go to sports, because everything's going to be organized into folders, if you go to sports, go to volleyball, and we're dealing with not middle school volleyball, but varsity volleyball. You want to make sure you're in the right one so people can easily find where these images are located so they can input them and play with them and put them where they need to be. So if we click on varsity volleyball, we'll find out there's no images, but we can add images. So I'll click on the add files, and you can select, you're on your desktop, so these were the two files that we had. You can open them up. All right, it looks like they are both finished. So we can click done uploading again, and here they are. They're going to both be present. So what I wanted to show you was this one was our good title. This one was the one where I said we have mistakes on it. Okay, so first of all, let's just make the background. I'm going to show you how to do a background really quick, and I'll show you this again later, but you can click on a shape, and it has a color to it. And one thing you can do is you could actually pull this to each corner, and you could make it fit that way. Okay, that's kind of the tedious way, which we don't really need to do. Again, you want this color. Let's say we wanted it black. Okay, if we wanted it black, you can go to Format, and you can change the color. This is your fill color, so you can change it to black, and it'll change to black. You could change it to red. Oops, that's not red. This one is a red. You can change it to red, but for our purposes, we're going to change it black. And then what you can do, instead of pulling this to each corner, you can actually make this your background. So you can click on Make Background. So now this is my background. All right. So what I wanted to show you was, this was our good one. The reason we want to make it large and have a transparent background is you can actually pull this, and look how large we can make this. We can actually make it fit almost the entirety of the page. So it will let us, with the way that we formatted it, it will let us go as large as we need it to be, or as small. Okay. Now, let's say, I'm going to put this at the bottom now. Let's say we use this one, which was smaller, and you can see that we didn't make the background transparent, so it's going to not look nice and clean like this bottom one is. The other thing is we made it smaller. This is as large as I can make this title. So again, this isn't going to work in our proper settings, and it's going to make it so we have to have the font very small. And it doesn't have as nice of a clean look as this does down here. So those are kind of the mistakes that I see, common mistakes people make. So make sure when you are doing your fonts, make sure it is following the guidelines. And then also make sure that you're making it as large as possible and it has a transparent background so we don't run into these issues. And then, like I said, once you are satisfied with that, you can move this to wherever you want, and always being consistent with when your work is finished to frequently save your work so then it saves where it should go. All right, well, that concludes a quick and brief lesson on how to use flaming text. Again, play around with it so then you can get used to customizing your fonts and making them unique to your page to find that certain theme that you're trying to capture. But again, if there is a style guide, make sure you are following that style guide so it is making the yearbook consistent from all of our sports pages to if we're doing certain dances, snowball, homecoming, that they have that same similar outline that's being used. All right, so that gives you all the stuff that you need. Have fun, enjoy, dream, create, and inspire.